See, I already screwed up. Let's try it again. I hit the wrong button.
You hit it twice. It
That's
was like it was streaming.
That's the only thing I could have screwed up. All right, let's try that again.
Pro.
You're listening to Beyond Boss Fights, gaming technology, movies, and more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the all-new Beyond Boss Fights show. We are back after a 2-year hiatus, and things are a little bit different now. Some of you may notice, if you're on Twitch, which you're not because there's nobody watching, that we have video now, which is interesting. We have what other things have changed? Oh, DJ Pimp Daddy is here. He is now my co-host, and now he's gone. He just moved out of the frame because he doesn't like video either. Look,
Trying to screw with the intro.
I've already hit everything's new, folks. Everything is brand new. We are not doing interviews anymore.
Forgot to hit record on Zencaster.
Damn.
Start over.
We still don't have any viewers, so that's good.
I literally just noticed that.
I'm so glad you interrupted me for that. That is really important. Okay, we're back to the home screen again. I'm going to have to do some serious editing. Here we go.
We're good. Just of the video.
You're listening to Beyond Boss Fights, gaming technology, movies, and more.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond Boss Fights, the all-new Beyond Boss Fights. All new, all different, all better. Maybe.
I'm proud.
Maybe not. We'll see. We're trying some different things here. We haven't been on the air for almost 2 years. I look back at my last episode, and it was, I think, August of 2016, which surprised me because I thought it was only a year. I thought it was August of 2017 was my last show, and wow. Some things have occurred in the last couple of years, and specifically in the last couple of weeks, that has allowed me to do some things with the show. I was able to put the old episodes back up on the feed, so now you can go back and listen to all the classic Beyond Boss Fights episodes where I was interviewing interesting people and getting their take on different things related to gaming.
So now you're done interviewing interesting people. You're just going to talk to
me. I ran out of interesting people. So I decided to go with a co-host. And the voice you hear and the face you see if you're on the video feed here on Twitch or YouTube is DJ Pimp Daddy, longtime friend of the show, and I've asked him to come on and be my permanent co-host. And we'll talk a little bit about that, why that is in just a few minutes here. But I wanted to kind of let you know that everything's going well. We're good here. We're going to try to bring the show back. We're not really sure on the frequency yet. We're going to shoot for monthly. But as we know, the reason that the show went on hiatus before was because sometimes life gets in the way. And when you have 6 people in the house, sometimes there's a lot of life to get in the way. So
that's a lot of people.
Yeah. So first things first, you probably remember me if you're listening to this right now. You might not if it's your first episode. My name is Braxwolf, and I've been gaming MMOs for about 5 or 6 years. Got super involved in the Lotro community, got interested in podcasting, and came up with my own podcast, the one you are listening to right now, Beyond Boss Fights, where I interviewed people. My video preview on Twitch just went crazy. This is going to be real distracting, I can tell.
Yeah, I've noticed the bandwidth since you started streaming has actually cut a little bit. You might need to adjust the OBS streaming settings on your side to be a lower bit rate. It's just something for future thought.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
It's chopping the audio slightly on the Zencast.
Okay.
But
And as you can tell,
obviously, it has a local recording, so
we're trying a lot of different things here
there's way too much technology in
at
this
the
show
show.
for something. We tried to keep it simple, and we didn't do that.
Yeah, no, we did try and keep it simple. And really, it's not that complicated. It's just a lot of stuff happening at once, and we're not
Yes.
really used to it yet. I'm seeing 29, 30 frames per second on my side, so I don't know if that's good or bad. That's not real good, I don't think.
Eh,
But
it's Nintendo Wii good enough.
yeah, and we're kind of a retro show, so that works. DJ, it's been a while since you were on the show. Obviously, you were on episode 9 of the original podcast.
Oh, God, yeah.
So
Long time fan, long time lurker.
So would you go ahead and kind of reintroduce yourself to the folks?
Certainly. I'm, of course, DJ Pimp Daddy here in the Cincinnati, the Natty. I've been podcasting forever, I think. I think I should get an award for that at some point. Like a while ago, I jokingly said I think I easily have over 500 hours of podcasting, and I think that's honest to God true at this point. Between all the shows and the guest hosting and everything, I updated my profiles to say that I was a professional guest host, and it's true. I'm still doing the XP Quest podcast over on the Players Alliance Network. And I just recently started that Chromatic Bits podcast as well. Not to pipe them, but no,
that's
side
okay.
projects.
That's okay. No, this is actually your side project. Those are your main projects.
I'm really happy about the Chromatic Bits. That's my pet project for the most part. It's just me solo and some music. So
yeah, it's a really fun show, and you don't do it live, so you get the chance to go back and edit it the way you want to.
Certainly, and I think when we started talking about doing a reunion or something, it tickled me in the right spots, because I was just like, I've always loved the Beyond Bossfights show. You always had great people, great topics, and I hated to see it die. But at the same point, I'm like, you and I, we've done guest shows together, but we've never actually we've never gotten together and just made jazz,
Right.
we just got to throw stuff off the wall.
Right, exactly. Although, over Twitter, it's very apparent, I think, that we have a lot in common and share a lot of the same sense of humor and things like that. So,
oh yeah, we're both old guys.
so that's what happens. You get old.
So here's a show about gaming, technology, and nerd stuff from two 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
We're relevant. Listen to us.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to stop the stream real quick and try again, because I don't see anything. Are you still seeing it on your preview?
Preview? On Twitch?
Yeah, on Twitch.
Yeah.
Okay, then I won't do anything. All right.
Yeah.
Enough of the new stuff. Let's go into I guess some of the reasons for the format change. As you guys know, I was pretty involved in a lot of the podcasting and gaming community and blogging community about 2.5, 3, 4 years ago, and really just kind of got in over my head in some ways. I thought it would be really cool to come up with this podcasting network and work together with other podcasters and do roundtable type things. And it was super cool. But man, I tried to set it up so that it wouldn't be a lot of work, but that never works. It's just one of those things. Whenever you come up with a show, you have a creative idea and you build it up, the maintenance of it is really kind of what gets you. So between maintaining the blog and maintaining the original podcast and maintaining the podcast network, whenever anything would happen in my life where I needed to drop something, I felt really bad about it. So, and I know people said, don't feel bad about it, do what you need to do. It didn't matter. I put that kind of pressure on myself to make the best quality product that I could. And especially when there were other people kind of counting on me, like in the podcast network and stuff, it kind of made me feel bad. So I just kind of burned myself out trying to do all of that stuff, and decided if something was going to get dropped, it wasn't going to be the family stuff. It was going to be the creative stuff. So that's what I did for a couple years. Didn't realize that much time had gone by. Didn't blog a whole lot, blogged a little bit, didn't podcast at all. And yeah, I wrote I wrote a podcast. I wrote a blog post a couple days ago about having the itch to create. And I think this is something that everybody has, whether they know it or not. And it hit me again as I started kind of re-listening to my old podcasts and things. And, the gears started turning as to what is the next step? What can I do next to kind of learn something new and try something new and push myself? So here we are. This is what the result is, and we're gonna see how it works. One of the things that I wanted to try and do to make sure that this show was a little bit easier to maintain was to bring on a standard, not a standard co-host, but that's the wrong word.
Standard. Oh, wounded.
A consistent co-host, somebody who's a persistent person that's there every time. The interview, I think, was a good idea, and it was really fun and a good way to meet a lot of people. But it was a lot more work than I thought it would be, between finding somebody, finding a topic that worked for that person, lining up that person, dealing with time zone differences, coming up with questions that, the first maybe 10 episodes are really easy because you've got all these things rolling around in your mind. And then after that, you kind of run out of things to talk about, or you're kind of reaching for stuff. And I kind of feel like there was a kind of a time slot there where the other show was really, really good, like somewhere between episode 5 and 20. I'm just really, really proud of those episodes because by that time I knew what I was doing, and I was kind of in a groove, but I wasn't quite to the burnout stage yet, and I wasn't reaching. And I think by the time I got to episode 25, when I was experimenting with doing my own thing without a guest, I was really just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it next. And so in order to kind of leave that whole idea behind and make it a little bit less work, here we have DJ, and he's going to be with us for the duration, however long that duration is.
Well, it's 11:21, so.
Yes, and we have been here a while trying to figure out how to make all this stuff technically work. We didn't get together a week ago and figure all this out. This was just where
we're IT people.
Yeah, this was just tonight. We're like, we'll just jump on and make it work. That's really gonna work.
Yeah, we'll fix it in the mix.
Everything can be fixed in post. Yeah, exactly.
We're professionals. We'll fix it in the mix. Fix it on the back end. Well, see, sort of to your point, one of the things that I know we both agreed on was we wanted to try to get closer and closer to zero editing, because both of us realized that that's the spot, that's the thing that we both dislike. So I think as far as the technical burnout aspect, just the fact that we're using all these cool new toys, which took a little bit to set up, but I think once we got them dialed in, I think that we could just concentrate on content, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even mind the editing that much if I had the time to do it. If I didn't have all kinds of other things going on, it wouldn't be that bad. But when you're trying to fit it in, and you realize by the time you get done at 12:30 at night because you want to get it into the feed the next day, that's when the editing becomes a pain. Just kind of along those same lines, one of the first topics we have for discussion here, I moved it up to the top. I buried the lead here. This is probably not of interest to anybody except us and maybe the two other podcasters that are listening. But we had an interesting.
Shout out to our fan.
we had an interesting time trying to figure out how to get the old episodes back into a feed that was working.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it took about a week to get it back to where people could actually listen to the old shows again. And I think we even announced at one time, they're going to be there. And then everything disappeared. It wasn't just that there was a link there that didn't work. It was that there was nothing there. And the thing that we learned was we're using my WordPress blog as kind of the feed generator. And then we're hosting the media files on an outside server, which is kind of the way I was doing it before. So all I really should have needed to do was change the audio files in all my old blog posts, and then the feed would automatically update with those new audio files, and iTunes and Stitcher and everywhere else would pick that up. Well, I did do that. The problem is when you put
Nothing
spaces
matches up.
in your file names for your media files, your MP3 files, sometimes WordPress doesn't like that because if it's hosted on a certain type of server, that server puts all kinds of numbers and symbols and things in the middle of the name to fill it in. And so the name that I had in the blog post didn't match the actual name of the file in the server. So what happened was it looked at all the blog posts and saw no audio files and went, "Yeah, there's no audio file. I guess we'll just erase that entry in the iTunes feed." So
you had 0 shows.
Had 0 shows. I went from 29 to nothing, and then back to
funny
29.
Is all week I complained to people about putting spaces in files, and sure enough, we had this problem near the end of the week where we were trying to get to this documentation in SharePoint, and somebody had put a space in the file name. I'm like, oh my god! It was like the curse of the spaces just would leave me all week.
So lesson learned here is that my podcasts are from now on going to be titled BB and a number, and no spaces, nothing in between. I'm not going to get fancy.
How hard is it to put an underscore or a dash?
Not going to get I'm not going to get fancy.
Don't put spaces
nothing.
In file names, kids.
Four characters. .mp3. Done.
And put a couple of illegal characters in there too. Yeah. let's make it interesting.
I'm going to start with a $ to really screw with the Linux people.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, nobody has any idea what we're talking about now, so let's just move on to some gaming conversation.
Certainly.
First of all, I thought we would do what everybody else does and just talk about what in the world we've been doing this past however long it's been since our last podcast. And I know that you've recently rediscovered some games that you enjoyed before. What have you been into lately?
I quit Facebook, and then my wife got a message from one of the guys I used to game with over Facebook Messenger that my old D&D gaming guys had bought Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition on Steam, which came out recently, and they got our old persistent server running again, and they wanted me to join the game. It was just such a weird coincidence. Like, I quit Facebook, and then a week later, these people I haven't talked to in like 10, 15 years just suddenly were trying to find me, like, ah! Sure enough, Neverwinter Edition that was out on Steam for $20. I have one friend, Randark. He put his foot down. He's like, I'm not paying $20 for better graphics. I'm like, the problem is not only did they update the graphics, but they also update the version, right? They worked out a couple of small little bugs, and because of that, you won't be able to play the old version with people playing the new version, right? Because there's a version difference. So it's sad but true.
Yeah, kind of like what Skyrim did with the special edition. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like just enough, but I'm actually happy for it because they even came out with some new premium modules. I haven't played any of those single player yet, but because it's our old persistent server, I had to bust this out. Check this out. This is a full poster-sized map of our game world. Somebody hand drew this, and then I had to take it to a blueprint shop to make 10 copies.
Okay, that's awesome incredible. That map is incredible.
I mean, he even did check out the artwork in the bottom.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it looks like an artist actually drew that.
Oh yeah. He does it the guy who helped. He wrote the story. This was our DM, right? And I should frame this. I thought about coloring this too. Like that's how awesome our game world was. But he did all the setup of all the areas. He was a D&D expert. The best DM I've ever worked with ever, right? He was good at storytelling. He knew the rule set, and he knew what made it fun. So he wasn't he was punishing but not, abusive, and he didn't make it overly simple either, right? So a world where he built all the things and he put all the encounters and all that stuff, but he needed some help with the advanced scripting. And back in the day, I actually taught myself C programming just to script for him, and I made all these advanced scripts for some of the major story parts that go through the game. But I was like, oh my god, that project's back again, and it needs a couple updates. So I'm just like, time to brush out my scripting skills again. So
Seriously, you should frame that. That's really good.
I need to. Like I said, I was thinking about getting some really good color pencils and like shading it in. You know, I think that would have been awesome. But yeah. So Neverwinter Nights has sucked up my life. If you loved Neverwinter Nights in the past, I will warn you hard. Make sure that when you start playing it in the evening, you set a timer, because I started playing, and then next thing you know, the timer was going off, and it had already been like 2 hours. And I'm like, I have to work tomorrow. My friend bought the game, started playing. Like, it is like, it sucks you in. So, yeah. And then it looks like you've been playing ESO. Every time I look at your feed, you're playing ESO.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm back.
You kind of bounce. You're like a hardcore casual player, like I am.
I am.
With Lotro, right?
I am hardcore casual. That's a good way to describe it, because when I get into a game, I play it for a very, very long period of time, but I don't play it for a lot of hours every day, because I don't have a lot of hours every day. But yeah, it was the same thing with like Fallout 4 last year. I probably played that game for 4 months straight.
Yeah. It's a good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. And, I go through things very slowly. I listen to all the voiceover. So it just takes a while to get through it. And if you're enjoying it, I guess that's the most important thing. I do the same thing with ESO. I listen to all the voiceover. My second son actually just started playing the game. He got some birthday money and decided he wanted to try it. And
one of us.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Oh, never mind. See, distracted again. And he's kind of plowing. He's kind of plowing through some things, and which is kind of funny for me, because I think he's kind of grown up. Maybe I'm making too much of a generalization here, but it seems like he's grown up in this age where you just kind of you rush through stuff, you rush through games, and how Fortnite seems to be the thing for a lot of younger players now, because you can just jump in, plow through it, and if you fail, you just jump into the next game, and if you don't fail, you're still plowing through it. There's not a lot of slow tactical going on there. It's just kind of rush through it, and that's kind of the way he's playing this game. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of leaving me in the dust because of it. So,
so he's already passed you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He hasn't passed me, but we were supposed to be going through this certain zone together through Vardenfell, which is where the Morrowind expansion happened, because that's where he started.
Okay.
And he didn't even finish it. I'm kind of he didn't finish the whole thing till he blew it into the next zone, and he's following this story and he's going there. I kind of try and do one zone at a time so that I can get a feel for the whole story through the zone. And he's already off somewhere else, and who knows where. And
I desperately tried to play Lotro with my kids, and they are both just anchors, because they're 8 and 10. So
yeah.
They're just anchors. I had to make a new character, and then intentionally just do everything possible to not level past them, and it still didn't work. Well, so what I didn't tell them was when they went to bed, I'd log in as them and power level them a couple levels.
I think there's going to be a time when that flips, and you're going to be like, slow down, guys.
Exactly.
I'm trying to enjoy this. I only have an hour to play tonight. I'm not going to blow through the content. But what I wanted to one of the things I wanted to talk about with ESO is that right now they're having their 4-year anniversary event, which is kind of as far as events go, it's a little confusing, because you basically you do one quest that gives you a cake, and when you eat the cake, it gives you 100% experience boost for 2 hours, and then you can eat the cake again. You can do it as many times as you want throughout the entire event. But the thing that you have to do to get these anniversary boxes, which is what they're giving out for the event, is you have to go find a repeatable quest to do. And whenever you find a repeatable quest in the game, they give you an anniversary box when you complete it, which is kind of a neat take on a festival. I mean, they didn't have to do a whole lot of new content for the festival. It's basically just collecting the festival stuff that comes from the boxes. But I remember doing this last year, and I had absolutely no idea how to do it because I didn't know where any of the repeatable quests were. I was a much newer player. You know, I didn't know which zone to go to. I didn't know which icon to look for, and I kind of gave up on the event.
Okay, I have a solution to this. We need to buy a copy for Whiteberry and have her start making, guides again.
Yeah, that would do it.
She had the best guides.
But my kind of my point in this is it's interesting to me that I'm playing in the third and fourth anniversary of ESO because the first anniversary event that I did in Lotro was the 4-year anniversary. I remember it very vividly. And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, is there a reason that I always start to play MMOs right around this time frame in their existence? And I think it's because at the 3-4 year mark, they've got a lot of the bugs worked out that came with launch, and yet they're still kind of in this they're kind of in their prime, so to speak. They're still pumping out content. They've got all their developers still, or at least most of them. They haven't started to kind of do these massive layoffs that we tend to see after a while. And I don't know if the ESO will do that because, man, they find ways to get money out of you. They're really good at that. But it's like once they get to like 7-8 years, they start to feel a little old, and maybe the content's not coming as quickly as it once was. And so my question to you was, is there kind of an age that you feel like this is the best time to start playing an MMO? This is when I want to go in and do it. Or is it maybe after it's 10 years old and you've got some nostalgia built up and now there's not as many people to bother you or whatever,
Yeah. Honestly, I'm probably the worst person to ask for this because like in Lotro, I didn't play it for the longest time because I was like, I did not want to get to the end of the content and be waiting for, Mordor or whatever, right? So it's like, but now I'm like, I feel like I have to play it before they finally do shutter it whenever that. So, like with ESO, I bought it. I did the beta. I bought a copy probably 6 months after it had been released. I can't remember how I bought it through some other service. It was like, maybe it was like the Green Man Gaming or something. There was like a sale and I got it, the base edition. And I played it for a little bit and then I just kind of set it aside. And I'm excited to like hear people talk about it, but at the same point, like I realize that I don't want to. I feel like if I start playing that, I just get sucked into something else that I wouldn't have time to play everything else I'm enjoying, because I'm like you. It's just like priorities,
Yeah. And with a game like that, it's almost the only game you can play.
Yeah. And it's Guild Wars 2, right? Mm-hmm. It's finally gotten to the point where if I wanted to, I could play that game hardcore for several months and still not come close to the end or in-game stuff.
Right.
But I typically in MMOs am sort of a solo guy. I rarely have. I'm usually on at sporadic hours. I'm not like on in the middle of the night, but I'm only on for like 10 minutes here or 30 minutes here, and I can't schedule something, right? So scheduling like a routine, raid party or stuff is difficult.
Right.
It's just like if I just happen to catch somebody online, but then I usually I'm so sporadic that like if I'm trying to play it with somebody else, by the time I get back online, they're way ahead of me. So it's
yeah. And I think maybe that's one of the things that I liked and why I jumped back into ESO, because I joked about my son like out leveling me and stuff. There's really no way to out level people in this game. They've actually solved that problem. Same with Guild Wars 2, right?
Yeah.
You can play with anybody at anywhere. There's no zone levels. There's character levels, but they auto level all of the bosses to you and all of the mobs to you. So, he's level 26 or something, and he can call my level 50 with 120 champion point character in, and we can obviously my character is going to be more powerful, but
Yeah.
they can still play together. It's not like one of them. It's not like it's a gray mob for me where I can just one shot it, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I just felt like that was a really smart thing. And the thing that killed me on ESO at the very beginning was I paid $60 for the box copy. I got into beta. I played the beta a little bit, and then I got a 1 month free subscription. And that time you could only play via subscription.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I kind of fell off after that first month. Although I liked it, I'm like I paid $60 and now I got to pay a subscription. I don't. I should have thought this through.
Yeah.
Because I was still
That's why
playing I was still playing Lotro at the time too, so I really couldn't do both, and one of them was going to cost me $15 a month, and one of them I was playing for basically free unless I bought an expansion or something.
I'm actually still shocked to this day that WoW hasn't gone complete free to play. Right.
Right.
Like they've just like they've got so much business. They're just like it's not even a thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what they've been
Yeah.
able to do.
Uh,
So
Good
anything
times.
else?
Not on ESO. Um, my other update I've been doing, and it sort of bleeds into the next topic, was I started power leveling my entire life using Oblivion. I I read this article online about how to make a perfect character in Oblivion, where you have to level up specific. You have to choose levels ahead of time, and then power level those specific skills to get a perfect character where you have like 100% in every skill, 100% in every stat, you know, and you got to do it in specific orders because that way you get like the most
Mm.
health and the most willpower at the end of the game because it's like it magnifies kind of like 401ks. Pro tip: everyone go out check the 401ks. That's your adult pro tip for the day. 401ks. Um, so I was looking for an excuse to start, work on my health more, and I have this recumbent bicycle that's always been sitting down here. It's always been sitting there. I've gotten on it every now and then, just but never like focused on it, right? And I joined my Fitness Pal. A week later, my Fitness Pal got hacked. Thank you. uh, Fortunately, they it's like they stole my password, which was a bunch of characters anyway. So it's like, ooh, change my password. Thanks, hackers. So some Russians know how much I ate, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, uh, and then my wife got me a Gen 3 Apple Watch, right? And this thing, it that's an entire side story. But the thing that the Apple Watch wants you to do is like get 30 minutes of exercise every day, right? And it counts exercise as effort, heart rate, and movement, right? So if you do a little bit of all three, it counts it as exercise minutes instead of just sitting there minutes, right? And I'm like, well, I'll see how much I go throughout the day, and I'm an IT guy, so you just sit in a chair all day, right?
Mhm.
uh, when it came down to it, like I'd get home in the evening and it said I had like 6 minutes of exercise. So I'm like, I gotta fix this. So I jumped on my bike every night, and I've been playing PS3 Oblivion Game of the Year edition, trying to power level this. So I got my monitor in front of the exercise as a recumbent bike. I got my PS3 controller. I got my watches recording all the data, and then I next to me I have my work surface with a spreadsheet opened up because I'm tracking all these statistics, right? And I'm just like grinding, and it's disturbing how fun the game is when you just sit there and grind specific skills. I've barely done anything in the game, and I think I'm like level 10, and I already have 100 points in restoration. If you've ever played the game, it's like that's lots of grinding. Just me standing there. But it's been an amusing thing because I feel like I'm grinding my life too. Because like if I distract myself, you forget that you're working out. And the first week of working out, I would do 5 or 10 minutes on the bike and I'd be sort of winded. And now I'm doing like 35, 40 minutes on this exercise bike. And I'm not even like I'm sweating, but I'm like, I feel like I could keep going. So it's just like my endurance on this bike has been taking off. And I'm like, I wish that in real life, while you were like exercising, you got like level up just popped
Yeah.
in your head, you know, like that would be sweet. But I like I've seen people who have made websites and apps where they've tried to do like gamify your life, and none of them really sort of not there wasn't one single one of them that I enjoyed. But I have played. Have you played around with any of those? Like where you like gamify your life?
Yeah, I remember actually when we did the show several years ago with
That's right.
Carrie
You had an
Mack
episode. Yeah.
and who was the other guest? I'm not going to remember now. I apologize, other guest. I think it was Sig actually. Um, yeah, we talked about the gamifying sites, and we joined one right around that
As a
time.
test.
Yeah, and we tried to make a group, and we had 5 or 6 people join, and it was okay for a couple of months, and then you kind of forgot to log in, and then it's like a lot of exercise programs where you're really kind of fired up at first, and then you
Yeah.
kind of forget about it or you drift away. But yeah, I haven't found one that really works. My wife has a health program for her work, a wellness program where they can earn points
Okay.
and their spouses can earn points, and we're participating in that. But I really let her do all the work on that. Um, I get points for
You got this, dear.
yeah, I check into the gym and I get points for that, and I go to the eye doctor and I get points for that, and I just those kinds of things that I was going to do anyway. I don't super extend myself, I guess,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've always been somewhat active anyway, so it's not like something that I had to completely change my lifestyle for.
Certainly. Yeah, I had pneumonia real bad. That was like an eye-opening thing where you just like I was hospitalized for a few days.
Oh,
I'm like,
jeez.
I
Yeah,
need to change. I'm
yeah.
getting older. Time to change. So, well, this sort of bleeds into the amusing topic that I put in there originally, which was this Apple Watch is trying to kill me. Right? It it suggests that I do things like it pops up all day long, like you should stand up and take a walk right now, and I'll be in like the most important meeting ever at work. I'll be like, no, no, just,
You're
but
trying to get me fired.
yeah, exactly. It's like I'm waiting for it to like you need to kill this person. Like, what? And the message just erases as soon as you look at it.
I think it would start off a little bit lower than that. Like it would ease you into you know, into murder a little bit. That might not be the first thing it
It
suggests.
takes a while for the CIA messages to pop up,
Yeah,
but you can get there.
yeah. I think maybe it'd start off with you need to copy a VHS tape.
Exactly. You need to take this gun and just leave it in a bush at this exact time, right? No questions.
Deliver this package to X location.
So I was trying to explain this to Brax. I'm like, it literally made me think that I had like the same watch that was on that movie Stranger Than Fiction, and I made you watch that film so you understood it. And you said you liked it.
I loved it.
Is that not a great movie? But like,
I
it was
love
like,
that movie.
little did he know that his watch was trying to kill him.
I had never heard of this film before, and yeah, I mean, you started out with the Apple Watch thing, but I got to watching this video or this movie going, how come I have never heard of this movie before? This is
I know,
a
it's so
fantastic film.
It's like one of Will Ferrell's best dramatic roles.
Yeah,
right?
it really is. Stranger Than Fiction, I looked it up, it's 2006. So
Oh God.
I really missed the boat on it. And probably a lot of people listening have not heard of it because it was such a long time ago. But yeah, Will Ferrell, Dustin Hoffman,
Oh yeah.
Emma Thompson, right? Good cast, very unique movie in the era of kind of blockbuster blow 'em ups superhero films. This is a really nice break if you want something that's just really different. And I'll be honest,
Yeah.
DJ, I was actually on the edge of
Zooey
my
Deschanel,
seat.
too.
You can't talk about the movie very much without spoiling it, but I was on the edge of my seat towards the end, not really knowing exactly what was going to happen. I thought I
Like
knew.
you saw it going this way.
Yeah.
You're like, no.
I thought I knew what was going to happen, and I'm glad that it went a different direction. But it was, yeah. I would recommend if you haven't seen Stranger Than Fiction, that is Brax's pick of the week, I guess. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. But that's also that whole movie is like the experience of owning an Apple Watch. Because your watch will do things, and you'll be like, "What?" Yeah, I told my wife I feel like I'm exercising, I'm getting stronger, and I feel myself improving. But at the same point, I feel like at the end of the day, I'm doing everything to make my watch happy. Right? Like it doesn't like suggest annoying things if I'm more active, right?
Yeah,
So
see, the ironic thing is your wrist is gonna get so thin that the watch is gonna fly right off of it and you're gonna lose it. And then you won't be able to do it anymore.
it's just like, it's the ring. Eventually it'll slip off and choose a new owner.
Yeah.
Once they tether it to Bluetooth, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
I gotta admit, like when the Apple Watches came out, I kind of rolled my eyes. I'm just like, I'm just like, seriously? Like, I love Apple stuff. I love iPhones. I will fly my Apple flag high, but I also respect, Android variants and all that other stuff, right? Use whatever you like. That's the answer, right?
They're all
But
computers.
yeah, exactly. I'm a computer guy. It's just a computer, right? But it has been game changing actually using my Apple Watch for health stuff, right? So
Well, that's
once I
good.
started, it was a toy up to that point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, this is an extension of my health, right?
Yeah, I see what this is for now. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Mrs. Brax has one. She loves it. Like I'm not an Apple person. I mean, I'm okay with it, kind of like you are. I'm okay with whatever, but I just don't. I don't go out of my way to buy Apple products for myself. Um, but she loves it. I like it because she has a job where she's up and about a lot. And so when I need to text her, I know that she's getting the text because it's on her wrist instead of
Oh yeah.
maybe in her purse somewhere on a phone. So yeah, I mean it works out really well for all of us too.
And before this, the only technology I had one of those little tiny Fitbit ones, like the little tiny ones that you
Yep.
put in your pocket.
I had one of those too.
I washed that 7 times, and it still works.
Those things were they were pretty durable. The thing that wasn't durable about those was the bands. You had to buy about
Oh
50
yeah,
bands.
I couldn't do the band. That's where I got off the boat. So
Yeah, I had the bands, and I probably only had it for 2 years, and I probably went through 5 or 6 bands. They just wore out so fast. Anyway, that is way far from where we started.
well, let's move into. You wanted to talk about Ready Player One.
Yeah, I think it's a good topic at this point. It's pretty new and fresh, and you've seen
No,
the film, right?
I will be brutally honest. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay.
I tried. I can't get away to go watch a movie without the kids.
Yeah,
And I wasn't
understand.
sure if this was like kid friendly.
Y-
So
I
I
took
borrowed a copy from a Swedish website, but it looks like somebody filmed it with like a Nokia phone.
Okay.
So I decided not to watch that because it was that bad. So
so
I will go see this, but I will preface this with go ahead and spoil it because I'm not one of those people like if it's something I really really want to see, then no spoilers. But like I want to see this, but I don't want to be like, oh my god, he spoiled it. Like go ahead and spoil the hell out of it.
so have
I'll
you
enjoy it more.
did you read the book?
I did not.
Okay.
I will admit I know nothing about
I
this.
thought maybe you hadn't when you said to spoil it because the book, if you read the book, you're already kind of spoiled on how the overall structure of the movie is and what the overall story is.
Okay.
Ready Player One, I can remember somebody, I think it was Tom Merritt from back when he was on Twit, the Leo Laporte podcast network, talking about this book, Ready Player One, that just was so amazing. And Tom's about the same age as I am. And this is kind of seems like a common theme for people who like the book because it's just full of references of pop culture things from the 1980s, basically when I was a kid, And so I read the book. I read the audiobook probably about a year and a half ago before I realized the movie was coming out. And I thought it was okay. I wrote a review on my blog, and I was probably a little more harsh than I should have been because I went in with very high expectations, knowing that a lot of the people in the geek culture were very high on this film. And plus, I started reading another book right after that was just way better. So I had kind of this skewed perspective. But the film, although it follows kind of the overall story of the book, there are a lot of things that are a lot different. And I would say, as far as kids are concerned, if there's parents listening, I took my oldest two teenagers, they're 15 and 17, and I left my 11-year-old and 13-year-old at home. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because there's one or two scenes that are just a little bit intense. They're not, they're not super gory or anything, and there's not a lot of sexual content or anything. But there's a couple stories or a couple parts in there, specifically where there's a virtual reality recreation of the Shining film that's just a little intense for like 11-year-old. I would say 13, you're probably on the fence. 12, 13, depending on how mature your child is and how easily they get scared, and if you want them sleeping in your bed at night. But I took my teenagers; they were fine. The animation and special effects were fantastic. They were really, really good. There's a scene at the beginning where they're all racing. It's basically a car chase scene with a bunch of wrecks, and it's like almost like an obstacle course where Godzilla comes down and then King Kong jumps down. I mean, it's like everything you could imagine animated. And I kept thinking to myself, I am basically watching a cartoon. I mean, this whole section is just one big cartoon, but it's really, really well done. And it's one of the better car chase scenes I've seen in quite a while. No practical effects at all, completely animated.
So it is, cinematography wise, is it like somebody took Wreck-It Ralph but like CGI'd in humans or something?
No, it's more like half of the movie is in virtual reality, which is exactly how you would. It's like a computer game, It's everything's computerized, computer generated, and then half of it is all practical, real world stuff. So, yeah, it's basically the premise of it is there's this Second Life like world that everybody in this future dystopia escapes to because their present is so terrible. Their environment is so horrible. And
Isn't that how the Matrix started?
yeah, the creator of this environment left an Easter egg somewhere in this virtual world for the players to find, and whoever found it got not only his fortune because he didn't have any family to leave it to, but they also got the rights to the game. So you got all these, these people that have claned up trying to find it. And then you've got individuals who are trying to find it. And then you've got these major corporations who are trying to find it because everybody wants to control the rights to this game.
Gotcha.
And so it's basically about all these different people going through these puzzles trying to figure out where the Easter egg is. And along the way, there's all kinds of... They actually updated... For the movie, they updated the references so they're not so old. I think they were trying to get kind of the younger crowd to understand it a little bit. All of the puzzles were completely different than what was in the book. But yeah, there's great references. He drives a DeLorean that looks just like the Back to the Future car.
So it's kind of like a hint of like little fan service gems here and there.
A lot of fan service. A lot of fan service. I think Chucky shows up at some time, the killer doll. There's
any good product placements from advertisers.
Yeah, it didn't strike me as that way because so much of it was older. Like a lot of it was kind of 90s, I think, this time around. But
Gotcha.
But there was also some anime references and things like that. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun movie. I got to tell you, it was a fun movie. It wasn't a good movie. I wouldn't say it was like a life-changing movie.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like a movie you should definitely see at a theater. And
yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I wasn't really impressed with the acting, aside from the guy who played the creator of the game, who was kind of the socially inept developer guy. He was really well done. He was very likable just because he was so eccentric. But other than that, the kids that they had in it, the guys who played like the teenage kids who were going after the Easter egg, I wasn't real impressed. Cut him some slack. It's a Spielberg movie. He did it. I mean, you think of where he's come from too. And I was talking to a friend about this, where he used to do Jaws. I mean, Jaws was like his first big movie, and it was all practical effects. I mean, they had, the lady at the beginning who was getting thrashed around by the shark. They actually had an apparatus that was dragging her around in the water. that's how practical those effects were, right?
It's hardcore.
They've gone from that to almost complete CGI, and he's made that adaptation, right? He's been able to adapt with the films over this period of time, and he's still making great movies, which I think is a real testament to his ability. You know, a lot of the older filmmakers, you think of like a Scorsese or somebody, they hate all the computer stuff. They just want, they just want to go back to the old days, and those days are kind of gone at this point. So.
Yeah. He's honestly, he's one of those few directors where like Steven Spielberg presents, be like, I don't even care what it is, I'll go see it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Okay, well, I guess
You know how to make a film.
those were my quick hit thoughts. Ready Player One. Maybe you can, once you see it, you can come back and let me know what you thought of it. Since you didn't read the book, it'll be interesting. Because
See if the movie's good enough to sort of hold some attention.
yeah, I mean, I talked to other people who didn't read the book, and they thought the movie was better than I thought the movie was. So part of it might just be that the book was better, like it always is.
Yeah. That's just book nerds saying that.
Yeah, no, I understand. Trust me, because I'm a big Lord of the Rings films fan.
They left out,
And I like the
Tom
books too,
Bombadil.
but they're two completely different things, right? I mean, we can do that topic another week. I'm sure we could get some feedback on that one.
Oh yeah, somebody will write in.
So I want to do a section of anything we're looking forward to within the next month, between now and the time that we plan to record the next show. I've been talking for a while. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're looking forward to?
Well, there is an early access game out on Steam called Kinseed. It's Kynseed, and it literally looks like somebody mashed up Fable and Stardew Valley, which is just, oh my god. And it's written by Lionhead Studios, the guys who actually made the Fable series. There is, even out on YouTube, there's an hour-long documentary you could watch on the history behind Lionhead Studios and the Fable series. Awesome development studio, and I expect perfection out of it. It's like they have the storytelling of Fable mashed on top of the, basically the engine of Stardew Valley, right?